I was gonna say fucking Google Hangouts, man. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Keyboard Words, presented by CrossroadsMMA.com. My name is Eddie Law. As usual, the boys with me, Aaron Robbins and Fred Kirby. Okay, it's obvious what we're gonna fucking talk about, right? UFC 193. Sorry with Aaron. People are calling it the biggest upset in MMA history. I'd say maybe it's right under GSP, Matt Serra, but I don't know. What do you think? Is it bigger than Serra and Serra GSP?
All right, I'll tell you why I think so is because this wasn't a fluky win. This was an old school ass beating. Matt Serra, we all know, clipped GSP on the side of his dome piece. GSP looked like he had butter on the bottom of his feet, and Matt Serra just kept going. He didn't let GSP recover. But then you see the rematch, and GSP tenderized his ribs for a few rounds until the referee got tired of looking at old Matt Serra taking an ass beating. I think that if they turned around and replayed the Ronda fight, Holly Holm would probably bust her knuckles up on her face again. So yeah, I mean, I would go, equal parts Weidman Silva and Holm Rousey. But what was surprising to me, and last week our buddy Andrew had to point out that I didn't give Holm a puncher's chance, and I'm going to stick with that. Because what we saw with her in her first few fights in the UFC, it was so lackluster. We didn't see this Holly Holm from the highlight reel until this fight. But I'll tell you what, and I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but it looked like she was outclassed from the get. Holly was moving really well. She was commanding the ring space, and Rousey comes out with like this little bunny hop thing that she does and she just keeps hopping towards her and hopping towards her. And the first time that Holly shot out that right crack right in her lips, I was like, whoa, okay. And then happened again, pow, knocking her head backwards. I was like, ooh, I think Ronda's about to lose. Then there's some people who are like, oh, but Ronda had her rocked. No, I didn't really see that from my vantage point. She landed one good punch. I was like,
right.
Oh, she got through her defenses one time. But I will tell you what, when she went back to her corner with a mouth that looked like a bloody orangutan's asshole, you know that Rousey had never had that before, and she looked crumpled and defeated on that stool in between rounds. Her hip toss didn't work. She actually got taken down. Couldn't keep Holm down. Couldn't armbar her. And then that was like a perfectly placed kick. I was awestruck. Absolutely awestruck. And I will probably say that besides the Weidman-Silva fight, that is the only fight that has ever left me just dumbfounded. When she hit her upside the neck and Rousey fell over sideways, I was just like, well, I guess I don't know jack shit about this sport ever.
Okay, now, I will tell you this. I think it was the biggest upset in UFC history. By a long shot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you what I think the major difference is between the two fights that Aaron just noted, because I think those are obviously like the three main candidates, you know what I'm saying? Crow Cop Gonzaga was pretty big at the time too, but as far as these being like championship fights, these are definitely for all the marbles. The difference is, for me, Ronda Rousey was undefeated. Okay, GSP had lost before. He had been submitted by Matt Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Silva had been submitted before. That shit had happened before. Ronda Rousey had barely been out of the first round. She had this fucking aura. We always talk about people having like a mystique and shit. Ronda Rousey legit had a mystique. You know what I'm saying? Like, she fucking just steamrolled everybody, and all of a sudden, she got steamrolled. It was fucking incredible. Like, as big as GSP was, Ronda Rousey's in these fucking movies and shit. She is a fucking legit crossover fucking star. I think the most popular fucking children's Halloween costume for girls this year was fucking Ronda Rousey. That's big fucking shit. Nobody's dressing up as their kids as GSP for fucking Halloween, man. And then that superhero gets killed. You know what I'm saying? Right as she's really starting to flourish, she gets fucking destroyed. So I think that was definitely the biggest upset in UFC history.
Now,
all things considered.
I agree. And there's something that has to be considered with this, too, is the psychology behind the fight. Is that, and you and I, all of us, had talked off air about this, the big mistake of your camp chirping in your ear that all of a sudden you're a striker. You're not. You might look good on the mitts, and you might be the best shadow boxer on the planet, but Holly Holm,
Listen,
you stack up her striking pedigree, and you look at Ronda's striking pedigree. You got to be really careful with who's chirping in your ear. First off, Ronda had come to believe that she was that person, and we know from Tyson and Anderson Silva and lots of other people that once you start to believe that you're that person, that's when you're susceptible to the fall. And it was different. Like, even when she came into the cage, the weigh-in was different. I kind of wonder now, looking back on it, and I'm not going to say that I had any foresight into it because I didn't, but kind of looking back on it now, Ronda didn't seem as herself throughout this whole thing. The weigh-in was weird. The way that she personally attacked Holm unprovoked was strange. Like with Betch Kohea, Betch had talked about her father, this and that. You have to kind of wonder if in the back of her mind, Ronda didn't think, oh shit, I've never faced anybody with this pedigree. I might get snuffed. And then the other thing that I want to think about the psychology of it is, she landed back in the States, wouldn't show her face, is totally embarrassed about what happened. What happens now? Does she pick up the pieces? Do we see her back in a year? Or does she just kind of like fade off into the sunset like Gina Carano? Because we know why Ronda Rousey's this crossover star. It's because she was winning. When you're losing, nobody wants a goddamn thing from you.
Yeah, definitely. Here's a question. Oh, here's something from Andrew Reed on Twitter. He says, a question. In all Ronda's training, has anyone ever seen her do any road work? Her cardio was dreadful.
Not even that. Oh, how about this, though? And I'll ask Andrew this back, and he can ask me. First off, no, I've never seen her jog a step. Second, has anyone actually seen her spar? Like a legit sparring partner. I've always seen her on the mitts, and I've seen her on the heavy bag. I've seen her drilling. But I've never seen her with a sparring partner.
Me neither.
It doesn't matter. I'm sure she sparred before, and I'm sure she's went on a fucking run before. How often she does either one is fucking debatable. I'm sure she's fucking been on the fucking, the treadmill and been in there sparring with people. Listen, who has she knocked out in the UFC?
Who, Ronda?
Yeah.
Betch Kohea.
Yeah. And who else did she knocked out? Was it Sarah McMahon with the liver?
TKO Sarah McMahon.
Okay. 2 shitbird strikers. God love them. They're not top-level strikers at all. So hindsight's 20/20, man. You knock out a couple shitbirds and all of a sudden you're qualified a legit striker. You wasn't. Those girls you knocked out were nowhere near the level of striking that Holly Holm had. So to go into that fight and think she was going to actually strike with her was absurd. This is something I want to point out. I think that Ronda's offensive takedowns lack greatly. She never even dropped levels. She didn't even attempt a double leg. It looked like, now listen, we all know her judo and her clinch game is top notch, but there is a plethora of options for takedowns. I'll tell you who is amazing at that is Chris Weidman. He'll drop for a double leg. He'll go for a single leg. Then he'll transition to an ankle pick. Then he'll go for a judo throw. He chains that shit together until he gets you on the fucking mat, and he'll keep going for it. It's like once that judo throw didn't work for Ronda, she was all out of options, Jack. She didn't even drop an attack. She should go train with Weidman or DC or somebody with some fucking real legit fucking American wrestling roots, man. She needs a couple other takedown options. Because, listen, if she could have got the takedown and she could have, actually held Holly there for a minute, I think that Ronda could still win this fight. She could submit Holly for sure, but can she get her to the ground? That's the question. Because the judo...
I don't know. You're for sure that she could submit Holly Holm? She's over at Jackson Winklejohn. Those guys know jiu-jitsu?
I do think so. I think in the first round, if she doesn't get rocked and they get into a straight grappling competition and she can drag her to the mat early, if she doesn't submit her, she's at least in a very... Listen, she's in a lot better fucking shot than she is dancing around with her on the feet. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it won't be easy, but she could possibly catch her. One thing for sure, she's not going to close the gap in striking. Okay? She's never going to be able to strike with her, so what she needs to do is figure out a way to drag her to the fucking mat. One way or the other.
But you did see Holly defend the hip toss correctly. When Ronda went in for the hip toss, she did a body lock.
Right. For sure.
A person who has you in a body lock, it's impossible.
It's for sure. But that's what I mean. And when that happened...
she was prepared for that. So I say, given a long enough timeline, they know that she's going to try to change levels, go for a double leg or an ankle pick or something like that. They're not stupid over at Jackson Winklejohn. I think if there is a rematch, which I believe is questionable, I think that she'll be wholly prepared for it. What really surprised me is that Holly Holm is huge.
Mm-hmm. She's a tall, but she's also athletic as shit. She's strong as fuck. I don't think Ronda Rousey has fought anybody that athletic ever.
Well, she picked her up and kind of shit tossed her herself. Picked her up and little side cradle, whoop, and dumped her on her ass. And then that whole issue where Ronda just whiffed, went down.
Oh God, yeah, that was some embarrassing shit. She was already hurt by that point anyway.
Yeah,
People need to lay the fuck
look on
off.
her face when that happened. She leaned against the cage and was like, "What the fuck did I just do?"
That's the same look I had on my face. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, and then she kind of was like, "Whew, well, I'm gonna have to continue fighting. Here I go, bounce, 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 crack." I was like, "Oh, what?" So I'd have to say that after about the first half of the first round, I think Ronda was probably defeated mentally, and then it was just the physical that followed. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Ed. What you got to say?
Okay. In between rounds, you heard Edmund Trevor, whatever the fuck his last name is, tell her that she's doing great, and even Joe Rogan was like, "Wait a minute, that's fucking crazy talk. What are you talking about?" Edmund tells her she's doing great, and then continues to tell her that all Holly has is a left hand. When I clearly saw that right hand land straight down the middle about a million times, and what the fuck?
Listen,
you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? That's it. Like, literally, hold on, real quick. Literally, when I heard him say that, I knew the fight was over. I'm like, if that's legitimately what Edmund thinks and what he's putting in Rousey's head, and you know Rousey's so loyal to fucking Edmund that she'll believe anything he says and everything. And I was like, if that's what he's gonna tell her, this fight's done. And 30 seconds later, knockout.
Dude came out and said that Ronda wasn't getting the worst of the striking exchange.
That fucking too. What the hell?
I heard that. Yeah.
You read that. I read that. He's like,
yeah,
well, I don't really think that Ronda was getting the worst of the striking exchange. When somebody is breaking their hands off at the wrist, smashing your teeth out, you are getting the worst of a striking exchange. When your fighter comes back with lips that are all bloody and your mouth is full of blood, and the other person doesn't look like they started fighting yet, you're getting the worst. But how many times have we heard crazy shit in the corner? This guy's tired, or you got him right where you want him. 45 seconds later, they're, disconnected from their body, laying unconscious on the canvas. This just shows that I think that she has all the talent in the world. Obviously, she's a great athlete. Right now, I think she just has a real bad camp, or no camp whatsoever. She just has the one guy. That's always kind of been a mystery to me, is how is this big star not part of a big camp? Mm-hmm. I truly believe that there's a lot of talent out there that if they go to the right camp, we have seen vast improvements. When they go to Jackson Winklejohn, when they go to the lab, when they go to AKA, when they go to American Top Team, we see some fighters really flourish. I mean, look at the difference between Robbie Lawler with come on, help me out, guys. What's his name?
Matt Hughes.
Well, not Matt Hughes, but before that.
Nick Diaz. No.
Who does the announcing for RFA and stuff like that?
Pat Miletich.
The Miletich camp. Look at the difference between Lawler at Miletich's camp and since he's been at American Top Team. Completely different fighter, right?
Very true.
More calm, better training, more well-rounded. Same thing, we've got guys out at the lab doing good stuff. Obviously, Jackson Winklejohn with the stable of fighters that they have. You can't, what is it, iron sharpens iron?
Yep.
And you got Ronda Rousey in a frickin' on an island.
Yeah, and listen, what do Jake Ellenberger, Travis Brown, and Ronda Rousey have in common? Other than the fact that they're all on fucking losing skids.
The coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Edmund. I think that dude is the fucking lowest common denominator in this situation, man. I hate to fucking throw him under the bus, but goddamn it, somebody's got to get thrown under the bus, Jack. The shit done fucked up, and somebody's got to take the heat for it. Edmund.
Well, I'll tell you what, if coaches don't make a difference, then explain Dwayne Ludwig to me.
Exactly. And listen, Greg Jackson and them, on the other side of the cage that very night, Holly Holm had a very sound game plan. It fucking worked to a T. That goes to show you what happens if you have good coaching. They have their fighters ready, man, one way or the fucking other.
Dude, and how calm was Greg Jackson in Holly Holm's corner? You know what I mean? He was like, okay, this is what's going on. This is what's gonna happen. This is what you're gonna do. And he goes, Wink, here you go. Go ahead. Like he literally just gives Winklejohn his time. He's like, go ahead. I mean, like, it's so fucking professional, but he knows how to calm his guys down. You know what I mean? Where Edmund was like, it's okay, you're doing great. He's like yelling in Ronda's face almost. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
That's what I've always loved about Jackson's camp is that Greg is right there in their face, calming them down. It's one person giving instructions at a time. Jackson will say his thing. Winklejohn will say his thing. The person who's giving him water doesn't say a fucking thing. You know what I mean? When you get that hectic bullshit, you'll see more unprofessional corners, and the guy outside of the cage is screaming one thing in their ear, and the guy in front of them is screaming another thing, and the guy is screaming another thing, and the cut man is saying so. It's like, holy Christ, this guy can't hear you. It's always nice and focused. Now, my question to you guys is, it sounds like no matter what, Ronda is going to take a year off of the sport.
Probably.
That's what I'm guessing, about a year. Obviously, Holly isn't going to take a year off to wait for the rematch. So is there anybody in the top 5 that you would like to see to get the fight next?
Right. Now keep this in mind, and Joker just brought this up over on YouTube. Winklejohn said Holly Holm might not be active for very long at 34 years old, which she's at, because she wants to have a family and kids pretty soon. So keep that in mind, whether or not she fights 1 or 2 more fights and then it's over and we never get that rematch because Rousey's going to be gone maybe for a year. So top 5, people are screaming for Tate. I don't know if I want to see that, but people are screaming for Miesha Tate.
Who else is there, man? I mean,
let me find out.
Nunez?
I'd be okay with that.
Strikers.
Well, I mean that's literally it, Jack. If it's not Nunez or it's not Rousey or Tate, I mean, Cat Zingano maybe.
The Cat Zingano fight would be all right.
I mean, there's only so much you can do. Really, Rousey's the fight you want. I mean, if you can't have it, then we'll make do. But that's the, you know what I mean?
I don't want to see an immediate rematch. Not after that.
Well, okay. Well, what do you do then? I mean, okay, so fuck it then. I guess you give Amanda Nunez Rousey, and then give Tate to fucking Holm, and then do winner versus winner.
I mean,
I still think Zingano should be in the mix there, and the reason why, okay, obviously Cat Zingano made the world's biggest blunder against Ronda Rousey, but she is a decent striker and she's very strong, and you know what I mean, might put on a better show, which brings me a better show. That actually brings me to a point that maybe we were going to miss tonight. Johanna Jędrzejczyk versus Letourneau was way more competitive than I gave it credit for. I did not think Letourneau was going to be able to hang like that.
Can I just say that I thought that fight was dreadful.
It was.
You didn't like that fight, dude? I thought it was. I thought Letourneau was impressive.
It
was 4 rounds to 1.
That fight was tedious.
It totally was, dog. And maybe I just put a little bit too much stock in Jedrzejczyk's striking abilities, but I was kind of like, what the fuck is this here now? Letourneau should have been fucking lambs to the slaughter, man, and like all of a sudden she's like competing. Maybe I totally undersold Valerie, but I don't know. It seemed like Johanna definitely came out with a different look, not for the better after that fight.
Definitely. Now, I have a question because I legitimately don't know, and maybe Munch or Andrew or somebody out in the world will know. Did Valerie Letourneau fight at a larger weight class at some point?
135.
I thought, yeah. I think that's the difference. She was gigantic compared to Johanna. And I think that's what it turns out, is that when Johanna's fighting chicks that are 115 pounds, she can starch them. She fights a girl that walks around 20 pounds heavier or more. She just didn't have the dynamite in her punches. Do you know what I mean? Her technique was great. She was very, very fast, but she was not damaging her as much as I've seen Valerie Letourneau damaged by other women in the weight class. So maybe punching power, not technique, is a little bit of something, because Johanna is very lean and she is pretty small. I mean, for the division, she's not a giant girl, so. Yeah. But that fight was lackluster.
I mean, listen.
But wholly made up for by the main event.
But now what do you do with Johanna? Where the fuck do you put her? She can't headline no pay-per-view card. That's for fucking sure. I don't even know if you want her on the co-headliner of a pay-per-view card at this point, or Fight Pass.
No, watch,
No.
no. They'll co-main her.
Yeah, it'll be
She's a
Coleman.
big, she's a big draw. She'll probably just be in a foreign country.
Oh, big draw.
In a foreign country, in a European country, yeah, she's Polish, man. She'd be a big draw.
And
But
fucking Poland.
it's neither here nor there, my man, because her hand is destroyed. She's gonna be out for a while.
Now, did she break that hand in the first round, and maybe that's why the rest of the fight actually went longer than it?
I thought I saw her broke it. I thought I saw her break it in the fourth.
Oh, okay.
She shook her hand. It was either the fourth or the fifth. She shook her hand real hard, and then went completely to leg kicks and jabs. It might have been the fifth.
Yeah. Now, let's see. I'm on YouTube here. Joker said I'm sending a bunch of shit, so I gotta pull this out here. Kenny Joker on YouTube. This guy's been tweeting back and forth. The JJ fight had me shitting my pants. I was worried about JJ losing. Ballas coming from 135. She's a big girl. 3 wins in a row. Took out Morose. Ballas shouldn't be underestimated, and the strawweight rankings aren't legit right now. So,
Man,
none of the rankings are legit, honestly.
Now is from her previous fucking performance, which left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Who the fuck did Valerie Returno fight before she got the fucking title shot? Does anybody recall? Because I think that fight fucking sucked too.
I can't remember who she fought, but she looked battered after it.
Yeah, it wasn't a great fight. That's the only thing that left me with a bad taste with old Valerie. So it is what it is.
Now, Munch of this kept saying this thing over here on this DM thing we got going on, saying, give Edmund a break. He only lost 1 fight. No, he didn't. Jake Ellenberger goes to his gym, loses. Travis Brown goes to his gym, wins 1, loses to Andrei Arlovsky. Okay, so no, he didn't just lose 1 fight.
Edmund needs to get a fucking tax accountant, is what Mr. Edmund.
Yeah, he's got shit to worry about, dude. He wasn't focused on his fight.
Penitentiary. So listen though, we talked about fucking that fight being tedious and the main fight kind of saving the card. Before we get off of this card a little bit here, what were your guys' thoughts overall on the main card? This was the biggest fucking attended UFC in history, right? And it felt weird. It felt like the crowd was not into it. What did you guys think about like the big crowd? Were the fucking seats loose? I was tripping that night. Like, are the seats loose? That would maybe it's just me being an American. I seen that and I'm like, that would never fucking fly in America. Those fucking seats would be everywhere.
Here's the thing.
Chairs?
I don't think the crowd was not into it. I think the crowd was polite.
Mm-hmm.
We're not used to that. We're used to an American sloppy drunk crowd. They responded appropriately. When the fight got boring, they booed a little bit. When the fight was exciting, they were very noisy. But it was great because, like, during the breaks, they would make a little bit of noise, and as soon as the fighters started fighting, they just all shut up and watched the fight. That was amazing to me. But I'm going to have to refresh my memory. Who was on the main card? Because it seems to me that...
I'll refresh it. You know who the fucking problem was? You know who killed the card for me, personally? Fucking Jared Roshaw.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking came out and he started in with that fucking land. And I'm telling you, the first fight of the night on the pay-per-view card is very important to setting the tempo. And when that prick came out and just had it, I swear it fucking put a stink on the card, because then Mark Hunt had a relatively impressive performance against Bigfoot where he got the knockout, but it was a little awkward and weirdy-beardy. And then what was it, Uriah Hall and Robert Whitaker?
Hey, Robert Whitaker came out fucking first 2 seconds in the fight, rushed right at Uriah Hall, like, let's go, bitch. Like, that was a fun fight to watch.
Right, now that I've been refreshed, and I think the reason why I didn't remember any of those fights is watching Ronda Rousey getting knocked out wiped my memory. With the whole Roshaw thing and the skyscraper is that if you're 7 foot tall, you need to learn how to keep that man away from you. Mm-hmm. First off, that was embarrassing. He dumped him over time and time again, and I don't care if he laid on him or whatever. If you got 7 foot long arms, you better be able to hit somebody from 3.5 feet away.
Somebody teach him how to jab, please. Sorry.
Yeah, no kidding. And then we have Mark Hunt with the glancing blow off the side of an aged Bigfoot. Jesus Christ, he looked like Grandpa Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The gray in his temples and just, it's enough. It's enough with that stuff. Good job, Mark Hunt. You look good. The whole thing. And then I actually did really enjoy the Uriah Hall-Robert Whitaker fight. Mm-hmm. I like it because it proves the rule. If Uriah Hall doesn't land a spectacular spinning attack and somebody keeps pressure on him, Uriah Hall loses.
It's very true. I totally agree. If he lands that big spinning shit, he'll fuck you up. But if he don't land that special move, man, he is left without a lot of options.
Because I'm still saying, when he beat his last opponent,
Gegard.
Yeah, Gegard ducked into it.
Yeah.
Ducked down and got it right in the mush. Had he ducked away or anything like that, he was wrecking Uriah Hall in that first round.
No.
And you can't call it lucky because that's what he does. But plain and simple, if he doesn't land one of those devastating attacks, you guys notice that in this fight, Uriah Hall fights in bursts?
For sure.
Yeah. I thought I was watching Dragon Ball Z for a quick second.
Yeah, he's real lazy, and he gets dominated. And then if his opponent allows him to recover a little bit, real aggressive for about 70 seconds.
Yeah.
And then whoop, down and nothing again. Robert Whittaker could have had him out, but I don't remember what round it was. I think maybe the second round. He had hit him hard. Uriah Hall went up against the cage, and Robert just kind of let him lay there. They laid on each other. And I'll tell you what, Robert Whittaker all night long with the old school foot stomps. Boy, he was beating the shit out of Uriah Hall's foot.
I love that shit.
He smashed his foot a whole bunch of times. But I think right then when he had him stunned, had he pushed it, had he pressed the action, got away from him, and went back to striking or took him down, he might have been able to finish Uriah, but he let him stay up there long enough that he came back aggressive for like that 60, 70 seconds, and then he fades again. So I guess I'm going to have to watch his fights a little more closely to see if he always fights like that.
Yeah. What about Anthony Perosh getting knocked the fuck out by Ian Beyonce? He got sent right to the fucking retirement home with that shit.
I'll tell you what, there is
the hippo.
There is nobody who gets knocked out funnier than Anthony Perosh. Just the way that he goes down when he's knocked out, and God bless him, what is he, 41, 42?
Yeah, he's older, cat.
He's old as hell, and good job, Gian Vellante, because he also knocked out Corey Anderson, so he does got some dynamite in his fist. But it's time for Perosh to become a coach or something like that. It's getting to be where, like, all right, my dude, if you don't jump on somebody's back and hippo them out in the first round, you're probably going to get slept. So.
Yep.
And then Kyle Noak with the liver shot from hell that Sabata went. I don't know if you guys noticed, Sabata went down and actually screamed.
Yeah, that
was like, damn.
Okay, wait a second. Mike Jarvis wants us to not forget about this. The 5 champions.
Let's talk about that.
John Jones for sure. Holly Holm already. I got Cerrone to win the title.
I got Condit.
Condit, he does have all the talent in the world. Watterson may be a little bit early, but I want to talk about that kick. Did you guys get a medical suspension or anything? Did his opponent break his opponent's ribs with that kick?
I haven't heard nothing.
Nothing official's come out yet, I don't think, but I'm going to look for it real quick.
Because I'm pretty sure, what was his opponent's name?
Sabata.
There you go.
Sabata?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he should have pants.
Yeah, he let out a fucking howl when he hit the fucking ground, Jack.
If you watch that in slow motion, his feet come out from underneath him. He got kicked so hard, he actually whooped off of his feet. And I'll tell you what, couldn't they now? And I could be wrong. Couldn't the ref have stopped that fight because of his verbal outcry?
I thought they're supposed to, yeah.
That's what I thought too. The ref let it go, but I thought, in my understanding of the rules, if the fighter cries out in any manner, it is a verbal submission.
That's some bullshit.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Bullshit. I'll tell you what, if you kick me hard enough in my liver that I make the noise that Sabata made, you better jump in there and fucking save me. That's your job.
Now, check this out. This is Australia for you. Peter Sabata, his only medical suspension, 7 days mandatory arrest. That's what he got. Exactly.
Wow. I tell you what, that's for me, that's one of the best kicks I have ever seen. Whether it was the force or the placement, the reaction, everything. Kyle Noak should probably still be walking around cocky as hell, like, yeah, I just sliced that guy's liver right in half. That was something.
Yeah.
Well placed. Very well placed.
Overall, I really enjoyed the Australia card. You know what else I really like? Jake Matthews coming back from adversity.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
That's the first time I've ever seen Jake Matthews lose his shit.
Yeah.
When he came back, he was fucking pissed. He was going to end that fight. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then what other fight was great? That's kind of it. I mean, the whole card was pretty good. I enjoyed the hell out of the whole thing.
Yeah,
Now,
see from Jarvis, the whole thing is getting out of hand.
Yeah, that is
okay,
fucking
let's talk about
ridiculous.
that. Let's talk about the shit.
Okay, let's do that. This is from UFC 184, and I hate to be such a pervy weirdo, but I actually looked at all of her photos of her weigh-ins after that. Let's just say that the rest of her gets really skinny during weigh-in times, and that one part of her is always prominent. Use whatever term you want.
That is,
But I'm not going to do it tonight because I'm just not in the mood to shit on such a great fighter right now. But give me a break. We're not seeing a hypertrophied clitoris. We're seeing a woman who's dehydrated to the point of death with a little teeny bikini on. You're going to see stuff.
that's fucking borderline assault. That picture.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's fucking borderline assault. What a fucking big clit. Get the fuck out of here. That's like fucking seeing a guy with a little sack and going, he's automatically on steroids. Maybe he just got some fucking little testicles. You can't fucking assume that because she's got a fucking fat clit, she's on steroids. That's disgusting.
And here's the thing. When she's not ridiculous dehydrated, it doesn't look like that at all. We've all seen plenty of pictures of Holly Holm with one leg extended up over her head.
Yeah.
Never once have I been like, oh, well, that's where she hides her tobacco.
Sorry.
You've never that was that one picture. It's a bad picture.
Yeah.
Everybody right away comes out. I'll tell you what, guys, this was a huge fight. The UFC can't take any more hits at this point, any more controversy. I'm sure Holly Holm was tested prior to, and I'm sure she was attested immediately after, especially with a trouncing like that. So let's just stop with the I know about anabolic steroids. I actually watched a YouTube video from this fucking idiot. Like, oh, I know all about testing. Blah, blah, blah. You know, this motherfucker is living in his mom's basement, eating fucking microwave burritos, doesn't know shit from nothing. Just shut up. Ronda Rousey lost. Everybody can lose. Anderson Silva lost. Mike Tyson lost. Muhammad Ali's lost. Just stop. Fighters lose.
Yep.
That's what happens. It's more about what they do after they lose.
It's true. It sounds cliche, but it's very true, man.
But it is, like
Right.
would I love to see Ronda come back a little bit more humble, a little bit wiser, a little bit more skilled? Absolutely. Do I want her to turn around and try again in 2 months? No, because she'll connect again.
Hypothetically, just for some fun before we get off of this altogether, if you're Ronda Rousey's, manager or whoever the fuck, guider of her career, what camp do you send her to? You can't send her to Jackson's because obviously her nemesis is there. But other than Jackson's, where do you send her? Because there's rumors that she wants to do the Nick and Nate Diaz thing and Cesar Gracie. I'll come out and say already, I don't like that.
No,
I think she needs to work on her offensive wrestling. And I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and throw the idea out there. This is what I think should happen. Holly Holm, John Jones, they're out at fucking Greg Jackson's. Send Ronda to fucking AKA with DC. Have this little thing for fucking UFC 200, Vengeance or the like, and let her train with DC and work on some fucking new takedowns and give her some time and that's what I would like to see ideally. I don't think it'll happen, but
I would have gone with AKA.
You know what?
It's the only one that makes sense. I don't think that she would get the attention that she deserves at American Top Team.
No.
She definitely doesn't fit in with the Black Zillions.
It would be so. Never mind. That's for another show. Go ahead.
The lab is too close to Jackson Winklejohn. And then what else do we have? We've got Elevation or whatever it is over in Colorado.
Here's the one that I think about. Okay, my first instinct is just like you guys said, AKA. Get the wrestling in there. They got striking in there. If you want to work on some more striking, which you fucking should. But the wrestling, clearly, I mean, we know this is an issue, right? But my other thought is either King's MMA or even more Alliance MMA. Can you imagine if Dominic Cruz worked with Ronda Rousey for a few months with that footwork, and then they got wrestling there too, you know? But I don't know who else trains that Alliance. I think somebody trains that Alliance that doesn't like Ronda or something. But that would be fucking legit. But my first choice would be AKA.
That's another thing too. Lately, how many people has Ronda Rousey pissed off? She's gonna get welcomed into any camp.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I'll tell you what, Anderson Silva didn't get hated on this much after he lost. Everybody was like, "Oh boy, I hope the Spider comes back." I have never seen such an unleash of hatred for a person in my life. I will tell you what, there has never been a bandwagon in the history of bandwagons that got jumped off of so quickly.
Faster. Yeah.
She didn't even fucking touch gloves with Holly though. There were a lot of people. I listened to this like morning show fucking called The Breakfast Club on the way to take the kids to school, and this fucking DJ named Charlemagne the God always gives out the donkey of the day. She was the fucking donkey of the day. And he's like, listen, you can talk shit if you win, but once you get knocked out, you got to shut the fuck up. So she just shouldn't have talked all that shit, and then she got knocked out. And she's got the famous, what was it, Jimmy Kimmel, where she's like, she's going to try to kick me in the head, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's getting like looped over and over again. Like
that happened on Fallon. She was like, you could possibly frustrate me and then kick me in my head.
And she predicted exactly how it ended.
You're right.
But fucking real quick, what about TriStar?
Faraz Zahavi.
Like if she wants to go that far.
No, yeah, it's a top-notch gym at least. I was going to say, if she really wants to work on her striking, she should fly out to Ireland and train with Conor the God if she really wants to, get her striking up to snuff.
No, I'm going to pass on that one.
Hey, whatever.
I suppose she
keep training with fucking Edmund.
I suppose she could go out to TriStar if she wants to be second best, Rory.
Yeah, right?
Ooh.
So
too soon.
Okay, if you guys disagree with me, besides the great and powerful GSP.
Yeah, I know. I can't disagree with you, honestly.
Okay.
Still.
TriStar's a great gym, but they're not pumping out champions.
Not anymore, yeah.
Put it that way.
True.
They got a nice stable of fighters with no champions anymore. All right. Well, what about okay. Now this is a weird thing that I noticed today, and I was kind of really annoyed. Actually, I was pretty fucking annoyed by it. Because people aren't saying Holly Holm won that fight. They're not celebrating Holly Holm winning that fight. They're celebrating Ronda Rousey losing that fight. Holly Holm just knocked out the woman that everybody thought was the baddest bitch on the planet, the most dominant combat sports athlete on the planet. Holly Holm knocked her out, but they can't stop talking about Ronda Rousey.
No, I tell you what, I give her full credit because if you watch that fight again, she was amazing in that fight.
Fuck yeah.
She never got rattled. She wasn't nervous. She was sending that right hand down the pipe hard. Those kicks were hard. Defended a hip toss that nobody else has defended. Ronda had her tied up a little bit. She just stood right up and was like, nope, fuck that shit. Dumped Ronda on her ass, made her lose so bad she broke her own goddamn ankle just about.
Yep.
That was, I'll tell you what, if somebody rises up and says that's the best performance of my life, she has to look at that and say, look, I did everything except for that one shot that she took to the side of her dome piece. She fought a perfect fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was definitely about Holly Holm doing what she did. It ain't like Ronda made one mistake. She got fucking dominated from pillar to post. She couldn't get the takedown. Hell, she even kind of got the takedown for a brief moment. She just couldn't do fuck all with it. She got outstruck the whole time.
And then I'll tell you what, that's a lot of presence of mind. Ronda goes down. She wasn't hurt at that point. She stumbled, right? By the end of the fight, she got pushed and stumbled down. And when she came to standing, that kick was already there for the side of her neck.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So Holly had the presence of mind to take advantage of that. Because how many times have we watched fights where you're like, oh, if he just would have fired off something right then, hands were down, could have done something. That's what it was, man. She was dumbfounded. Hands down, smack. Good night. Over. I'll tell you what, though. I think Holly might be a little bit meaner than we give her credit for. Because she had to have known that Ronda was knocked the fuck out. And she still hammer-fisted her in her mouth 3 times.
Peach's daughter came down like, fuck you, bitch. Fuck talking all that shit. Like, she's still a girl. So...
And then afterwards, she was all nice and she did her little, kip, the whole assisted backflip, and that was nice, and she was crying and all of that. But in that moment when she was hammer fisting her face, that was kind of like Dan Henderson hitting Bisbing one more time. I was like, oh, okay. Bang, bang. I know she's out, but you better pull me off this bitch. I ain't
right.
Hendo went fucking airborne and let gravity do the work on that bitch, all right? I remember seeing that, and I was just like, dude, did Hendo just go flying? Just to fucking land and it was spot on. He hit basically with everything.
Oh, yeah. He smashed him in his face, but you remember, that all started up on the tough thing. And he's like, no, I'm not going to talk shit. I'm going to let my fist do the work. And then in the post-fight, he's like, yeah, I told you I was going to shut him up, even if it's only for a couple minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, look, and right now, you know, every time we do the show, I always pull up like 3 or 4 MMA websites just to see. And there's one of the more prominent ones here. Every article on their main page is about Ronda Rousey. Okay.
Makes sense.
Nothing about Holly Holm. It's Ronda Rousey sideline, potentially for 6 months. You know, fucking home KO of Rousey was the biggest upset. Floyd Mayweather offers to help Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey losing is a bigger story than Ronda Rousey being undefeated, no?
Well, I mean, it's a bigger story than Holly Holm being the new champion. But that kind of makes sense, though. Ronda Rousey has been spending all this time becoming the darling, or you know, or the girl that everybody loves to hate. Like, she's the one with all the fucking star power. Could Holly Holm do something with that? Maybe. Chris Weidman's still kind of going through that thing. We're still kind of just starting to really embrace him and make him a star, and he killed the fucking GOAT.
But that's
a month of Sundays ago.
That's his own thing. Ronda has a dominant personality, like McGregor. They go out and get it. Weidman's not that way. He's kind of reclusive, and when he is in interviews and out in the public eye, he's a dick.
Well, and neither is Holly Holm. I'm not saying she's a fucking dick, but she's not really outgoing or brash like Ronda Rousey is either. So maybe, you know, maybe we'll never come to give that much of a fuck about her.
But hey, maybe that's not what she wants. Rousey went to be a star. She wrote the books. She agreed to do the movies. She's here. She's there. She's WWE. She's everywhere. Not every fighter wants that shit. True. Some fighters want to fight.
And certainly Holly Holm don't want that shit. Holly Holm from Albuquerque, living in Albuquerque, nice quiet spot that never really asked for much attention. She was on. I think she was in Good Morning America today, or she's gonna be on there tomorrow. The fucking public, you know, that media shit. The media storm's coming for Holly Holm. It already started today with that fucking steroid bullshit that everyone wants to talk about. Now we got the legitimate media shit.
And I'll tell you what, I haven't watched Ronda Rousey act, but I will watch Holly Holm knock her the fuck out again.
You know what? I'm starting to think of something, too. It seems like you can't really become, like, a major star without kind of being a cunt a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, or be fucking gorgeous. Like, be Paige Van Zandt. But, like, Holly Holm, total good guy, right? She's a total class act, and I feel like she'll never...
Wait, I'm sorry, but when did Paige Van Zandt get famous?
What the fuck? She's a fucking major star, right? As far as MMA goes.
Really?
Is she fucking not? She's headlining a fucking card. I mean, come on.
Kinda major star.
Outside of us.
Well, no, yeah, not fucking...
You go next door to your first neighbor, and you ask who Paige Van Zandt is. Then you tell me...
No, settle down, man. But I mean in combat sports, in our world, you can't really get away with being... a nice guy, and like even Floyd Mayweather, what the fuck? It's because he's a shitbird. You know what I'm saying? It's because he's a bad guy. Like the bad guys or the I don't know, bad guy personalities tend to fucking be the ones that really sell. If you're a good guy, who's been a good guy and really been a crowd pleaser since GSP? And let's face it, it's because fucking bitches wanted to give him some pussy.
And Anderson Silva was kind of a dick in the cage, right?
Yeah. He was definitely hateable, you know what I mean? Like, he was arrogant and cocky. Well, he was not a good guy, per se.
Demetrius Johnson was a good guy until someone told him to start saying shit.
Oh, come on. Who gives a... I love you, Mighty Mouse, but nobody gives a fuck when you fight.
TJ Dillashaw.
Come on, man. Was that serious?
Okay, never mind. All right.
He's great, but...
I think what it boils down to is either the cards all line up and you, like, with Conor... He just annoyed us into noticing him.
Pretty much.
With Ronda, she was a pioneer. I mean, as much as Gina Carano was a pioneer, Ronda transcended the sport as a female.
Yep.
And I think that's what made the difference. You know, but I don't think everybody seeks that multi-level fame. I think that that's something that you talk with your, you know, management team about and say, well, okay. I mean, and Fred makes a good point, too, because there are some people out there who think that Felice Herrig is attractive, right?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm not.
You're right, though.
I'm not in that boat, but she's not even fighting anymore and had the most embarrassing showing on American Ninja, and she's still getting little movie roles and showing up modeling here, and they're making little statuettes of her and stuff like that. So, you know, I think you're right. Either you got to be a super annoying dickhole,
Yeah.
or you just have to be fantastically gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the point. Robbie Lawler is a nice guy too. Outside of the cage, though. My argument is outside of the cage, but in the cage, he's a fucking monster.
Yeah, that's true, but Robbie Lawler, there's no movie deals calling for
Right,
Robbie.
right. As much as we love him, he's not a real superstar. As sad as it. And listen, the way that guy fights, he sure as shit should be.
Should be.
And
Like Mike Tyson.
as long as he's been around too, but I think it's also because from what I understand, Robbie's a pretty private, quiet person.
Exactly.
He's a private and quiet person. You remember when Rory and Robbie were on the same tour as Aldo and McGregor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were on the same tour, and it was those two fucking idiots stealing the belt and going back and forth and dangling their bananas in front of each other. And fucking Robbie and Rory were sitting there bullshitting with each other, laughing and fucking playing tic-tac-toe. I don't know what the fuck they were doing.
They were hanging out. They were just like,
they weren't glory hounding. I think sometimes people are just fighters, and that's what they were.
I gotta be honest with you though, a small part of that bugs me. Because can you imagine Robbie Lawler if he was like John Jones? Like, fuck that Canadian, I'm gonna knock him the fuck out. And after he fucking broke his fucking nose off, he's like, what, bitch? Fucking spit a little blood. Like, Robbie would be fucking scary if he was actually willing to be mean and outgoing and brash. I know he's not, but fuck, that'd be fun.
First off, I like his quiet demeanor. I'll tell you what, he fucking terrifies me anyway.
Because you know what he's capable of. But most people don't know, and they look at him, he's just looking like a quiet guy.
When his lip got fucking split in that fight,
yeah,
and that guy looked like he could still go fighting, that scared the shit out of me. I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna fight and my lip is split, I'm like, hey, motherfucker, time out for a second. I gotta tape this bitch out. This is fucked up. My lip's about to fall off. Give me a second to get this thing together. Robbie Lawler was like, no, bitch, his fucking lips all fucking flappy on one side. It's like he's saying three different things at once. But fucking Andrew Reed has a tweet over here saying Holly is like DJ.
Yeah, I can dig that comparison. And the sad thing is, I think she'll draw like DJ.
Mm.
It's just fucked up, but it's true.
Well, I agree with that. The female bantamweight championship is not going to be the main event anymore.
No.
Oh no! We're not gonna see unless Ronda Rousey comes back, wins her fucking belt back. Until we see if we see the rematch between Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey. Until then, no female headliners.
The only way is if, let's say, she runs through Zingano, Nunes, or two of the gals. Mm-hmm. Let's say that Holly Holm does fight quickly because she wasn't injured in this fight.
No.
She could come back quickly. And let's say that she just decimates two more. Then people will know her as this beaster of a knockout artist, and that's what casuals want to see. And then we might see a co-main.
True.
But without Rousey, I don't see it being a main event thing. And hey, you know what? It was pretty awesome because she drew in the biggest crowd ever, which is great, and delivered one of the most talked about fights ever, whether she won or whether she lost. Mm-hmm. When's the last time anybody talked about a fight this much?
Exactly. And here's another question for you guys real quick. Who lost, and this is something I was talking to Jesse from Crossroads a couple days ago. Who lost more in this fight? And I'll give you some options here. Ronda Rousey by losing the fight. The UFC by losing their golden pony, I guess, if you want to call it that. Or, and here's the one that Jesse picked, Cyborg. Who lost the most out of those three? By Ronda losing.
Okay, first off, there's no question. Ronda Rousey lost.
Yeah, no shit. The UFC's got plenty of golden ducks. I mean,
there's no fucking question. Rousey lost the most because let me tell you what, she didn't get all of these magazine covers and all this shit because she's so goddamn interesting and fun to listen to. She's hard to look at, and her voice is like fucking nails on a chalkboard. Got it. Because she is on top. Now that she's not on top, that's probably going to dry up. Cyborg, I don't see how Cyborg lost.
Because that was the only payday she was ever going to get.
Oh, you know what? She's
not going to get no fucking paydays unless she makes 35.
Right. But well, she did come out and say, okay, now you're not the champ anymore. Come up and fight me at 140.
Why?
Whatever. Whatever. Just keep knocking the shit out of women in Invicta. That's fine for me. Come over to the UFC and knock some shit over. Whatever the fuck you want to do. Who was the second choice that lost more?
UFC.
It was Ronda, UFC, or Cyborg.
I don't think the UFC lost anything.
No. There's always a Sage Northcutt on the come up with them.
Just speaking on the next, and that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
McGregor is kind of like not as noisy anymore, and people have kind of like lost, except for Fred, has lost their kind of like their whole interest in his little fucking routine. Now Sage Northcutt, he's all pretty and everybody loves him, so let's see what he does against who's he fighting?
He's co-maining.
Oh,
is he co-maining?
Against
Cody Fister, you're right.
Against Cody Fister.
I cannot laugh
awesome name ever.
I can't not laugh at that shit. I'm like 5 years old.
That's so childish.
But it's true. I mean, I don't, and it's just seriously the Fister. Son of a bitch. But anyway, I don't think the UFC loses either way. They made a hell of a payday. If there's ever a rematch, they'll make another hell of a payday. Yeah. And it's just on to the next. We got Aldo McGregor coming up soon.
No, the next card is the next two cards are this. The one this weekend, Neil Magny against Gastelum in Mexico, and then in Korea, Henderson versus Masvidal.
Jesus Christ.
And then we got 194, I think.
You know, but I like that fight. I don't give a shit about the card coming up, Neil Magny versus Kelvin Gastelum. I don't even want to talk about that bullshit. But I'll tell you what, I don't hate the Jorge Masvidal versus Benson.
Real quick. So we got Gastelum, Magny, then we have Henderson, Masvidal. Then we have those 3 fucking cards in 3 days. I think that's what it is, the 3 nights. Thursday night, let me pull out the fucking actual schedule. On December 10th, Thursday, December 10th, Namajunas versus Van Zandt. On December 11th, the Ultimate Fighter finale, McGregor versus Faber, Team McGregor versus Team Faber. And then we get 194 on Saturday. It's 3 days straight.
Who's the headliner for the tough card?
For the tough card, the headliner is going to be... Oh, shit, Frank Yeager, Chad Mendes. I forgot about that fight.
Oh, okay. That'll be fun.
No. In the co-main, Edson Barboza against Tony Ferguson. Goddamn. All right, that's a fucking...
That's on the tough card?
Yeah, that's on the tough card.
That's a goddamn good weekend of fights. What did that?
You ain't fucking lying, Jack.
That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
No. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Nice.
And it's what date?
December 10th to December 12th.
Damn.
Yeah, and then Rose and Page are headlining the Thursday night card. The co-main is Jim Miller against Mike Chiesa, and then Northcutt Fister, and then Theodoro against Thiago Santos. And then of course 194. Which is Aldo McGregor, Weidman Rockhold, goddamn, Jacare Romero, goddamn, Maya Nelson,
That card is madness.
Yeah, dude, that card is insane.
Dude, from start, maybe the Maya Nelson one is like low-key might fuck things up a little bit. I hope not, but might. But, Holloway Stevens to kick off the main card? Come on.
Yeah, no shit. That's probably one of the best cards ever, man.
Oh, dude. And then the fucking prelims, you got Faber, Frankie Saenz, or however you say his last name, Tisha Torres, Michelle Watterson, and then it kind of waters down a little bit from there. But very little, actually.
I tell you what, please, God, don't fuck up that card.
Yeah, no shit. We're too close, too.
Everybody take your vitamins, get your sleep, wrap yourself in bubble wrap, whatever you got to do.
Please, yeah.
Don't fuck up this card. That's my Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just, I don't know. And then this Korea card with Henderson Masvidal, to me...
Who's the co-headline?
Stun Gun versus Dominic Waters.
Yeah, the Stun Gun was supposed to fight somebody different, wasn't he? And then
someone got hurt. And then Akiyama against Alberto Mina, and Hyungyu Lim, the ace, who's actually a striking motherfucker. That guy's fun to watch. He's a bad motherfucker. Against Dominic Steele, whose nickname, I still say it's fucking retarded, non-stop action-packed Dominic Steele is his name.
Jesus. Is that long enough for you?
Isn't he a porn star?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if I can know anything about this guy. Now, tell me anything about this motherfucker.
Come on, tell me that Dominic Steele does not sound like a dude who lays pipe.
What's his name? Who the fuck is Steele? Why does that sound, as far as the porn world, why does that sound so goddamn familiar?
It's fucking Steele. I'm sure there's 1,000 porn stars named fucking Rick Steele, fucking Tom Steele.
Whatever. And then the prelims for that card is just a bunch of shippers, honestly, and a couple guys from that tough Latin America, and a bunch of Asian dudes. So, but this weekend's card was supposed to be Matt Brown against Kelvin Gastelum. Now it's Magny Gastelum. Yeah. But the co-main's legit, I think. Ricardo Lamas against Diego Sanchez. I think that's legit. That's legit as fuck.
That's fun.
The reason why I'm interested in that is because now Diego dropped weight class, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
145. 145.
What was he fight? He was 155 before?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, he was.
Yep.
Okay, so they're making a real big deal about a 10-pound weight loss. Fucking Kenny Florian used to fight at super heavyweight and ended up at fucking strawweight. I mean, come on. Let's not get too excited about a 10-pound switch.
Well, Diego's a bit long in the tooth at this point,
Yeah.
too. If he had made this change 3 years ago, I think we might all have something to get a little excited about. Maybe I'm fucking underselling him, but I just think he's a bit old. Quite frankly, I think he's going to get his ass knocked out or steamrolled by fucking llamas.
Yeah, he said that his whole goal was to fight
McGregor.
the potato muncher. But let's be realistic, Diego. That ship has fucking sailed.
Andy just chuckled for sure. 100%. Andy just chuckled to himself when you said that shit right there for sure. And then Eric Montano against Enrique Marin, which no one fucking knows who that is. Escudero and Leandro Silva on that card.
Efrain Escudero?
Yep.
Efrain against Leandro Silva.
Okay.
And then Scott Jorgensen against Alejandro Perez. And basically everybody from this is a low key legit fight right here. Gabriel Benitez against Andre Touchy-Feely.
That'll be fun. I remember Benitez from the first season or whatever.
Benitez is legit, and Andre is a bad motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
I like Touchy-Feely.
Yeah, good fighter.
It'd probably be a fun card. No real big fancy sexy names on it, but it'll probably be all right though.
Well, they're all sexy names if you say them like Eddie.
That's true.
Yeah, just because I can say them correctly.
Latino Heat.
And exactly. And then after UFC 194 on December 19th, we have Fight Night Cerrone versus Dos Anjos. I didn't know that was a free card. I could have sworn that was on a pay-per-view, but
Yeah, that's like Fox, right? The next big Fox card.
Yeah, I think so. But this is a legit fucking card. If everyone fucking stays healthy, it's legit as fuck. Obviously, headlining RDA against Cowboy. Coleman is JDS against Overeem. Michael Johnson against Nate Diaz. Ronda Marcos against some chick, Carolina Kowalski. Kowalski, I don't give a fuck. I don't know how you say her last name. Yep. And then the prelims are pretty legit. You got Charles Oliveira against Miles Jury. You get to go to sleep with CB Dalloway and Nate Marquardt. You can go take a break, take a piss, whatever you got to do. Sarah Kaufman's still fighting.
Great.
Yeah. Sarah Kaufman, for some reason, still fighting. But she gets Jermaine Durandamy. Josh Simon is still fighting. Takes on Tamden McCrory. Nick Lentz against
Cat.
Yep. The Barn Cat. I don't know. How do you memorize all that shit?
I love Tamden McCrory. He was a bit of a shitbird, but I enjoyed him.
Jesus
All right,
Christ.
guys, we've actually gone past or pretty damn close to our allotted time. Do we have anything else legitimate?
Yeah. Quickly before we go, I wanted to ask you, Prick, something. I just recently seen that the UFC's talking about trying to get together Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort 2.
Do it.
Now you know what? Tim Kennedy feels your pain, Aaron.
Yeah, Kennedy wants to fight both those guys.
I know.
Both those
like, I'll fight both you pricks in one night. I'm on Hitler over here, and I get no love.
I'll tell you what, line that up. Tim Kennedy fights both of them motherfuckers. One at a time, but he has
Call his bluff. Call his bluff.
Win or lose. If he loses the first fight, he's still got to fucking dust himself off and fight the other motherfucker.
I tell you what, I would rather see either one of them fight Tim Kennedy than each other again. As fun as it was the first time, it won't be the same magic with the rematch. You give one of them to Tim Kennedy. As much as Tim Kennedy runs his fucking mouth, I think that either one of them would kick Tim Kennedy's ass too. So, fuck, for Christ's sakes, throw old Tim a bone and shut him up.
There you go.
Yeah, Tim Kennedy chasing Nazis, chasing ISIS, and then fucking now he wants to fight both these motherfuckers in the same night. So it's Tim Kennedy's busy. All right, and then one more thing real quick, because I just read this right now. We all saw Thomas Almeida starch the shit out of Anthony Burchak. John Dodson wants to fight Thomas Almeida.
Let him.
Who wins?
Almeida.
Whoa. Is Dodson going up?
Yeah, he's going up. 135.
He won't be as fast. Almeida will catch him.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let Dodson go up, but don't give him Almeida. That's a fight that could happen a little down the line. Give Dodson a shitbird of some sort to feast on first. That's a fun fight. Save that shit.
Why?
All right.
Well, you know what? I'm not even going to get into it right now. My battery's running low. Let's fucking wrap this.
Right.
All right, well, we're at the hour time limit anyway. So thanks everybody for watching tonight. You can follow Fred at Kirby _ God damn it, what's your fucking Twitter handle?
Kirby _ MMA.
Thank you. It's been a fucking long day. Follow me at Ela31. Do you want people to follow you, Aaron?
No.
Oh yes, absolutely. I will engage with you so much. It's Doc _ Robbins MMA. I'll talk to you all day about your mundane bullshit that you want to put on my feed.
All right. You can catch everything we do over at crossroadsmma.com. Hit subscribe button somewhere down here and shit. Shout out to everybody that supports us. Appreciate everything. Oh, by the way, Andy says he did chuckle, so that was a good move right there with the potato shit. Anyway, everyone have a good night. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys for coming on tonight. Tomorrow in the pocket, and of course our the ULS football show, Punting the Nuts. So we'll check you guys out tomorrow. Have a good night.
Good night.